Hello and welcome to Crit's Ringside Chat, your ideas and voice for pro wrestling in NYC and your one-stop shop for an honest critique from an honest fan. And today with me, I have a very special guest. He has wrestled for such promotions as Beyond Wrestling, Game Changer Wrestling, and House of Glory, a former House of Glory Tag Team Champion, Cruiserweight Champion, the longest reigning Crown Jewel Champion, and our current World Heavyweight Champion, the root of all evil, Charles Mason. Mason, how you doing?
I'm doing well, especially after listening to all my accomplishments and my long list of accolades. Uh, I'm doing very well.
You've done a lot in a short time, man. Let's get on with the questions. First up, this is a question I've asked all of the students. What made you choose House of Glory as your school?
Well, it's no secret that the trainer at House of Glory is one of the best to ever do it, right? So when I was
Of
looking
course.
for somewhere to learn and hone my craft, House of Glory was the clear top choice. And Amazing Red did teach me a lot. Not everything I know, but he did teach me a lot. And once I felt that I outgrew Amazing Red, is when I started to really find myself, really ventured out into the world and kind of carved my own path and perfected my craft. But it was an easy choice to start, and now I am what I am.
Of course, of course. And Amazing Red isn't the only one that has helped you. I've heard from Montekia that he's also like helped you train to hone your craft as well.
I don't know how much Montequilla really helped me. There was a period of time where Amazing Red, he broke his ankle. It was right around when I first joined. And Montequilla was one of the people that was there the longest at the time, helping the younger people, break through and grow. But that was short-lived when it came. I
Mm.
think Montequilla found out extremely quickly that I have a lot more talent, a lot more skill, and that he couldn't really teach me much. But if he wants to try and take credit for what I am, that's fine. He can do that. There's not much else that he has to claim as far as success. So if I'm going to be his success story, then so be it.
I wouldn't say it's much of taking credit. It was more him saying that he might be prepared to face off against the world champ.
Yeah, I mean, he can prepare all he wants, and he's been doing this a lot longer than me. But I don't think he's ready for me, especially after tearing his ACL. See, I'm like a shark in the water, and as soon as I find out that there's something wrong with you, something ailing you, then it makes my hunt a lot easier.
Right. Okay. So now, on top of recent news, Killer Kross has unfortunately been not released, but like let go from the WWE, and I've noticed that you and him have like similar styles in that you're both cerebral characters, both love to choke people out, both work with like cinematic packages, and even in your Instagram stories, you've kind of hinted at wanting to work with him. Would you ever want to have like a program going on with Killer Kross?
Well, it's not so much that I would want to work a program. Killer Cross attracts me. Now, whether that be as a friend or that be as a foe, me and Killer Cross are cut from the same cloth, I believe. A young Charles Mason, when I was documenting my growth and my transformation, and I would post these videos on social media, and I would post these videos to YouTube. One time I looked at the comments, and there was one Killer Cross clapping, enjoying my embracement. And I think that there's plenty of stories that me and Killer Cross can tell. As I said, whether it be side by side or across the ring from one another, I think he wants something to do with me as much as I want something to do with him.
I'd
Whether that
very
be at House of Glory, whether that be at GCW, whether that be anywhere else in the world, I think we can create something magical together.
Absolutely. I would be really looking forward to a show like that. Speaking of GCW, you've been a regular staple on both House of Glory and Game Changer Wrestling, so I imagine that you have had a lot of eyes on you. Have you had any offers as of late to like make your way to bigger platforms?
As of late, hmm, offers, not so much. I think that someone like me can be seen as a liability for some of these bigger companies. Right? I am a man who embraces chaos. I am someone who has a thirst for blood and all that comes with the blood. And when someone kind of leaks out too much, I tend to enjoy that. And I don't plan on stopping it. And I don't know if that's something that a television production would want children around the world to see. But there becomes a point when you become undeniable, a point in time where they have to sacrifice their morals and accept what I am and accept that I can take one of these bigger companies to the next level. Now, I was offered a contract about a year and a half ago. I won't say by who, but I declined it. Uh, but since then, I've heard rumblings, and I know that some of the bigger companies are very interested in me. And I would say whenever they're ready to make a legitimate offer to me, I'm all ears. And it's not about a financial offer. You and I both know I don't need the money. It's more about who are you willing to let me sink my teeth into? What are you willing to let me do on
Right.
your television screen? And if you take the chains off and let me do what I want, then we can talk business.
You're definitely not the type of guy that I could see being censored for very long. Definitely the type of guy who would want you'd want like restrictions being as loose as possible and as violent as possible. That's why, like, in my opinion, I think maybe like old school TNA, like maybe like 2010, back when they were still Impact, when they had guys like Sammy Callahan or Abyss or people like that. I think you would gel like that, especially in something like a Monsters Ball. That sounds like your wheelhouse.
Yeah, that would be my wheelhouse, and I think that we are coming close to a time where some one of these bigger companies is going to have to take a step and really separate themselves from the pack. You have a company that has been at the top for a very long time, is very, very interested in turning profit more than they are, I think, making an impact in
Hmm.
the combat world. And they are the leaders in entertainment. And eventually, if you tell the same story and present the same thing over and over, fans thirst for more. And that's something that I can provide. And then there's another company out there that's fairly new, but has
They promised
made a
themselves
made,
at the alternative.
they promise themselves as the alternative, and I think that I provide that. And I think a lot of people would agree that I provide something different and something that people can't seem to take their eyes off of. And then there's a few other companies that I am interested. I would love to take what I provide, the dangers that I provide, and bring them overseas. Be somewhere like maybe New Japan.
Mm.
So I think there's a lot of doors. It's just about who wants to open it up for me before I knock it down myself.
And speaking on traveling, speaking on like working with new crowds, your first match in House of Glory since you had become world champion was in Dallas not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. And from me being in the crowd, I looked around and I noticed not a lot of people knew everybody from NYC. Not a lot of people knew who the main event were, JJ Does, and not a lot of people knew who you were. So they were seeing you for the first time. What was it like introducing yourself to an audience that was in no way familiar with your way of doing things?
I think, some of the wrestlers that even you admire, some of the wrestlers on the House of Glory roster, and people who are on the independents who are making their way around can easily be intimidated by a situation like that, where they are somewhere they've never been before, unfamiliar faces, and they can kind of be defeated by the crowd, I would say. Well, they'll chant nasty things. They were all raised incorrectly and don't have any manners, and they're extremely rude. But someone like me, who's confident in who he is and confident in what I bring, and very secure in what my capabilities are, if they never saw me before, by the end of that night, they will never forget who I am. And I make certain of that everywhere I go. Whether it be somewhere like Dallas, where you say some people did not know who I was, I made certain that they'll never forget who I am, or somewhere like Los Angeles, where the first time I stepped through the curtain for GCW in Los Angeles, the fuck you chants were very loud and very clear. And all that told me was that my reputation is starting to travel a lot faster than I physically can.
I probably shouldn't be saying this for fear of getting choked out, but when it comes to the fuck yous in Dallas, I had to be the one to get that started.
Oh, well, so it was you. You know,
They
I,
didn't know. They didn't know. I had to teach them.
I think if it was maybe a couple of years ago, I'd be a bit enraged. And I'd find you, and this would be the last piece of content that you provide. That's the last podcast that people can hear your voice on. But lately, within the last year, especially since I've been released from prison, it lights something under me. There's a fire that when I hear that, I am motivated. I am just filled with, I would call a positive hatred. It's something that you want to chant fuck you to me? Okay. And I take it out on whoever's across the ring from me that night. It happens to be Zillifatu.
Okay, so am I safe for now? Like if I come in October, am I good?
For the time being, depends on who my opponent is and how they're making me feel. And if you're sitting front row, and if I see that terrible mask on your face, I'm not sure if I can restrain myself.
That's the risk. That's the risk you take with ringside. I accept the risk.
Yeah, life is a lot better when you accept the risk and
Life is
whatever
more
comes with it.
life is more exciting with a little bit of danger. Sometimes you got to feel like you
Oh,
might get choked out.
you're telling me I enjoy it way more than a lot of people think, as far as giving it and taking.
Speaking on you going to prison, you've had people turn on you, fail you, taser you, snitch on you. At this point, have you decided that maybe you're better off doing things on your own?
I have very straight to the point. I never needed anyone by me. I am a threat all on my own. But I felt like along the way that there was a possibility that I would find like-minded individuals in this business, whether it be people like Richard Holiday, who are cut from the same cloth financially, and we both come from money, or it be someone like Atticus Colgar, who clearly clearly has a thirst for violence the way I do, or someone like two young men who I believe I could mold into something greater, and they failed and disappointed me.
Mm.
I've come to the realization that I think I'm better off alone. Every now and then, though, there is one man that I will trust who has never failed at me, who has been with me for years. He's a man that goes by one name, and his name, whether you know him or not, is Slade.
Mm.
Slade has never failed me, and I don't think he ever will. And that's my best friend.
All right. And when it comes to people failing you, like we saw Raheem take the brunt of the failure, considering that, well, I believe he was the one that took the final pin. But my memory serves, it was a 2 out of 3 falls match, so he wasn't the only person that failed that night. Armani and Kitano, I would imagine, are on the shit list too. Like, have they been dealt with?
Well, I would like for you to ask yourself a question, right? You've seen my reaction to Raheem Royale. You tell me when's the last time you've seen Jay Armani or Nolo Katana?
Mm.
Ask yourself that question, and when you find the answer, I think it's going to send chills down your spine.
After you had Kitano do the dirty work of the spray too, like damn.
Yep, they're all loose ends, and they're better off tied like a knot at the other end of a cinder block that pulls you down to the bottom of the river. Not saying that that's necessarily what happened. It's a nice analogy.
That's what happens when you're not a cold enough blooded killer.
No, exactly. You get it. I like you.
Thank you. All right, and that about wraps up my personal questions. I have my set of questions that I ask everybody. First up for you, favorite move to perform.
My favorite move to perform. See, I have a lot of moves that are extremely satisfying to execute. Um, I'll save the best for last, but one of the ones I really enjoy is just I really enjoy this fish hook lariat that I do,
Mm.
where I take my finger, I put it in my opponent's mouth, rip at their cheek, and spin them and hit them as hard as I can. My beautiful bicep. Then there's the pull-out DVD that is a lot more fun than it is painful. Although you ask anybody who's been on the receiving end of it is painful.
That
It
one's my
hurts.
favorite.
It's but it's a joy for me. It feels like an eternity that I am spending with this person. And every time I watch it back, it's just so fast and so snappy. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes when you're doing something you love and it may hurt others, but for you it serves as a sense of tranquility and you enjoy every moment. But for the opponent, it just flashes before their eyes so quickly and boom, they're gone. It's over. There's a lot of parts of my life that I like. But I would say ultimately, it's a tie. It's a tie between what you may call the sleeper hold, where
Hmm.
I wrap my arms around the neck of someone and I squeeze and I squeeze and I squeeze and I squeeze until I can feel the life in the body. I can feel the blood that's rushing through their brains kind of slow down a bit. I can see the light fade from their eyes and their fingers that are sunken into my skin, begging for help. I can feel it start to loosen. And then there's rest and poverty.
Mm.
Rest in poverty is where I hang someone upside down, press them against my body while the blood rushes to their brains. And others have performed this, and they drop down to their knees. But I do it a little bit different, where I take my arm and I put it between their legs, and I shoot down to my knees suddenly. And by putting my arm between their legs, it drives them down to the mat, drives them harder down to the mat. I can actually hear the bones in their neck crack.
Oh.
And that sound is so satisfying. And that right there might just be my favorite sound. So it's
Uh,
between those two right there.
you say I would call it the sleeper. What would you call it?
I would call it euphoria.
That's the
For
first word that
me,
popped in my head for that.
yes. Have you ever seen my face when I am putting someone out? Have you ever seen the enjoyment that I feel?
I've never seen
I
you
don't
happier.
hide it. Exactly. It's a sense of euphoria. That's all I can compare it to.
All right, and I suppose, as opposed to favorite color gear to wear, favorite color dress shirt to wear.
My favorite color dress shirt, that's very easy. The color is white.
Mm.
Whenever you see me with white in the
It's not
ring,
gonna stay white for long.
it's not going to stay white for long. Scott, you are impressing me with your intelligence. It's more than the average caveman out there. But
Thank you.
every time I wear a white shirt, although it's not necessarily my favorite fashion choice, I do know that by the end it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful red.
How do you handle that? Like dress to the nines with the shoes, the pants, the shirt, and the tie. It can't be comfortable like performing like that.
It's comfortable for me. See, people
Mm,
like you who every day spend their time in dirty sweatpants and shirts that they might have worn for 3, 4 days in a row, probably can't afford new clothing. You rarely ever wear a suit. Probably the only time that people like you wear suits are for court cases or funerals.
of course.
I wear a suit almost every day, and I figured that if I'm going to be at my best, I need to dress my best and dress the way I'm most comfortable. Someone like me who's been raised to dress this way in three-piece suits, I have no problem moving. And I know it's surprising for you. People like you, it's always surprising and it's so impressed. But for me, it's
It's
quite easy and
natural.
quite normal. It's very natural.
All right, dream match.
Hmm. That's a good question because I've been asked recently what my dream match would be. And there was a point in time where my dream match was someone I have already fixed, and that was Minoru Suzuki.
Mm,
Minoru Suzuki is somebody that, if there was anyone that I could compare myself to in this business now or ever, it's Minoru Suzuki. Someone who you can see enjoys inflicting pain as much as he does receiving it. We are a very unique animal. And I faced him and I wrestled him. I wrestled him at House of Glory. And although he did defeat me, by the end of the night, you could see the smile on both of our faces. And it wasn't about wins or losses. It rarely is for me. It's more about pleasure. And I experienced it that night. Um, the other person that comes to mind that I have not faced, but I was supposed to face, I was scheduled to face, is someone who refers to himself as the king of the bums and someone who is everything that is wrong with society and those raised in poverty, and that's Eddie Kingston. He's a fat, miserable old man. That if he showed up then, we wouldn't be talking about my dream match now. But it would be a dream for me to make him live through his worst nightmare as I put him through unimaginable. As I break the leg that he recently recovered from, that I make him bleed all over the floor, hopefully until there's nothing left, and we can rid ourselves from someone like Eddie Kingston.
Rip and pull him by the beard that he just grew.
Oh yeah, I'll rip it right out of his face.
All right, Dream Championship.
Hmm. See, these are questions that you said are standard for people. These are questions that you ask everybody that comes on this. And I'm not like everybody else. I don't collect championships for pleasure. It just so happens that it comes with what I do. Sometimes one of my victims holds a championship and they submit to me or I pin them and I receive that as well as defeating them. So I don't really have a dream championship.
Mm.
I'm more of a collector of personal artifacts, personal things that my victims hold near and dear to them. So
Uh,
I couldn't tell you right now the championship that I desire the most, but I will say that whichever championship would have my victims knocking at the door more frequently, people who want it so badly that they would step in the ring with me, that's the one I want the most. The ones that people would try their best to take away
I was going to ask, like, who is someone right now that you would want to take away something from the most?
from me. So is this more of a question as far as a current champion out there that I would want to take
Well,
something from, or
well, because in my head, my mind went to like you would probably want to put Effie down in the dirt and take the belt away from him.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Game Changer Wrestling is one of the most premier wrestling companies in the world, not just US. And they travel throughout the world. And if I was the GCW champion, then I can make my way across the US into places like Japan and the UK and people would line up, line up to try and take that from me. And I would come back home with little pieces of them. So I would imagine grabbing that title, defending it 50 times a year, coming home with 50 new personal uh, collector's items of mine. I think that would bring me great joy.
And that would be like what, like pieces of gear that are ripped off, a body like a body part, like a tooth, a little patch of
I think,
skin.
like I said, you're a very smart man, and it's easy for you to put things together. And it could be something like a piece of an ear, it could be the whole ear, it could be part of their gear, although I would like something more. It could be something that belongs to a loved one of theirs, something that belongs to a partner of theirs, something that would cause so much emotional turmoil, pain, and suffering that I wouldn't have to be present to hurt them constantly every single day.
Well, with that way of looking at things, surely you realize that they're going to be coming back for more. Like you put you with each new memento, you put a bigger and bigger target on your back.
100%, but there's always more for me to take. There are so many people that live this life, walk this earth every day thinking that they have nothing to lose. But these people have everything to lose. They're just not
Mm.
aware of what they have. There's a saying that you don't know what you have until it's gone. And the moment that someone feels so secure around me and thinks that this ends at the end of the match and they go home to see that their beautiful mother is laying in a pool of her own blood, missing a limb, something they never imagined could ever happen to them. It happens, and they're distraught. They don't know how to go through life anymore, but they do. The poor have a nifty way of persevering and overcoming, and then I come back and I take something more, and I do it again and again until they are the last piece that I take. You understand?
I completely understand. Do you feel a type of way if they eventually get what they get back?
Not really. For me, it's all part of the game. It's all part of the hunt, right? I'm a hunter. I know what it's like to go after something I want. They, I would admire their chase for something that they want, and most times something that they need. And I I don't think that there's much that they can take away from me that they would be prepared to take, knowing what I would do to them. You understand?
Mhm.
So this is all one big game for me, and I enjoy every single minute.
All right, and this is my favorite one. Somebody that you think you could fight forever.
Oh, someone that I can fight forever. That is good. Because like once again, this is a question that is different for me than it is for others. Other people think about someone that they have chemistry with, right? Someone that, although they're fighting, they put on a spectacle with. I'm not very interested in that. I'm
For you,
interested
it's
in
about the
someone.
pleasure.
It's about the pleasure, it's about the chase, it's about the game. And the first person that comes to mind is someone who I recently made suffer and taken something from, and that is Santana. Mike
Mm.
Santana is someone that I think, knowing everything that he's lost in his life, knowing everything that he's gained in the last few years, this false sense of security, this relationship that he's built with the people that he loves, these accomplishments and achievements he's made in his career, things that can all be stripped from him at the blink of an eye. He is someone with so much ego, and he is someone with so much drive that he wouldn't let that go easily. So he is someone that I quite literally believe will fight me forever. And it may not be right now, but I know he hasn't forgotten about me. And I think of that moment every single night, the moment that I felt that he was secure in his spots and secure and thought that on his very own show in front of the people that he grew up with, the people that look up to him and see themselves in him, that he made sure that I wasn't around. But you can't stop me
Mm-mm.
when I want something, and I took away the House of Glory Championship in front of all of those people, in front of people that love him, in front of his own daughter. There's an impact that I made in her life that she will never forget. She's used to daddy coming out on top. She's used to seeing her hero achieve so much. And on a night like that, I took him down. I took something away from him. And I saw her once after that, and I just stared deep into her soul. Stared at her, just waiting for her to say something to me, and nothing. So the last thing I told her was, when she's old enough, when she grows up, if there's something that she wants to do about what I've done to her father, I will still be here, and I will make her suffer.
And that's not
I
the
forgot
first little
what.
girl you've told that to.
That's not the first, and probably won't be the last. I don't really have many restrictions as to who I target and who can eventually suffer the same fate as others have.
All right. So based on like this year-long story that you had out this the main event, would you consider Jay or Midas somebody that you would fight forever as well?
No, no, I don't. I think I had my way with Midas. I with a torn ligament in my ankle, still had my way with J Line. And then I made them quit. I made them give up. The only thing that was pushing them forward was I guess, the power of friendship and their love for one another. And I made, I tied Midas Black to a rope and beat the ever loving hell out of his little lion. And I taped his mouth closed so that he couldn't verbally say those words until I was done. And when I was ready, I took the tape off and he said he quit. So, no, this is someone who does not have that drive that will come back for me over and over. Sure, he came back for those two failures, those three failures of mine, but he didn't come after me.
Mm,
We've been on shows since then, same night, same place,
that's
nothing.
a good point.
So no, those are not people I would want to fight forever because it wouldn't last very long.
Just as a personal little anecdote before I move on to my last question, to my shame, I suppose, or to your pleasure, I suppose, I had a hand in that. My first House of Gory, I guess I helped you beat up Midas after you called me a fat piece of shit.
How so? How did you help me? I
You
mean,
asked
you
me
are
for
a
a
fat piece
chair.
of shit, and you gave it to me.
Yeah.
I like you more and more. You're a smart individual. See, people like you, you're gonna make me slip again, and you're gonna give me hope that I don't need. People like you are the ones that I see, and I think that there's so much potential. There's so much that you've yet to uncover about yourself, yet to unlock to find your final truest form where you can be the greatest version of yourself. And I want to kind of, you know, part of me wants to teach you how to become what I am. There's too much risk of disappointment that I just can't go through again. But maybe you
And
could discover it on your own. You're a smart man. You gave me a weapon to inflict more pain on people that you thought you cared about. It's yeah, there's something there. It's just up to you to figure out how to really, really unlock that.
I'm probably more secure in my life if I figure out on my own.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
There's not much room for error around me anymore.
I can see. I've noticed. All right. And the last one, a match that either you have performed in or you have seen that you have learned from the most.
Hmm. Well, this is a really good question. I like your questions.
Thank you.
I really do. People ask the same questions over and over, but these are good.
I try to provide
A
something
match,
a
a match that I've seen or been a part of that I have learned the most. Man, that's really good. Um, it's take a little bit of thinking from me. There's a lot of matches that I've been a part of. There's been a bunch of matches that I have seen. Man, um, I think I would say my. Okay, I remember. It's a little bit further back, actually. When I do you remember who I beat for the Crown Jewel Championship?
I do not. I've only been a fan of House of Glory since that first show, Reckoning 2024. I got a lot of homework to do.
Okay, so I beat a man named Loki. Loki, who is known as one of the hardest hitting, most dangerous, uncontrollable, off the rails, but extremely talented, extremely unique, and I would say is probably the best wrestler that I've ever shared a ring with. And it wasn't so much based off of moves, it wasn't something, it was the intangibles and it was the killer instinct that he had. He was, I would say, the final piece, the final touch in in me truly becoming the best version of myself. He's a man that will not make a mistake, and that's the hardest man to beat. Usually, I at my best when you slip up. He didn't slip up at all, aside from forgetting that there are other people with bounties on him that played a part in him losing that belt to me. But he made me bleed. He busted my nose open. I have a scar on my nose to this day. Um, and Loki, Charles Mason versus Loki is probably the best match that I have personally been a part of when it comes to learning and learning what I can really be and what I have to be the best.
I see. I see. All right. And well, that about wraps it up for me, Mason. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, this is very revealing. I did not know what to expect from you. As I said, you impressed me tonight. And next time I see you, although there will be lots of people there, I depends on how I feel. I may embrace you a little bit. I may do something that you'll never forget for the rest of your short life. It depends on how I feel. But the pleasure for tonight is all yours. You are lucky to have someone like me to speak to. and I want you to value this for the rest of your life, and understand that you will never have a guest like me on this. And based on your performance tonight, maybe we do it again.
I wholeheartedly agree. I appreciate you having the time. I appreciate your kind words. And as of right now, you probably are the biggest guest I've had on here.
Now, probably I am, right? I am.
You are, you are. And for those
There you
listening
go.
at home, whether it's on your screen in NYC or a travel necessity, we will be seated. My name is Crit and Charles Mason. Thank you for joining me at Ringside and thank you for not killing me.
Not yet.